Part 2 of Housewife Turn to Work Affair. All other parts down below. I have some remarks for him concerning his work, or rather, his lack of it, should he irritate me. It would be awful for him to have to support his soon-to-be ex and his 2 children without money, on top of going through a divorce that he started. Indeed, I intend to visit that place, cause mischief to both my family and his. They appear to have descended more below the surface. She transmits messages through her pal and coworker. Handwritten messages. I'm therefore very much done. My marriage needs to be saved, but that can't happen as long as she's still completely lost in her delusions. I went to the soon-to-be ex-wife of the other man and presented her with some of the proof. This validates what she had already suspected was going on in the later stages of their marriage. She'll handle him in her own manner, custody and other things, as she ought to. He's gonna have to put up with her being a clever cookie for the rest of his life, but he receives his just desserts. I believe I'm going to face him as well. I have enough against him to have him dismissed from his work, but not in a violent way. Consequently, he can transfer and avoid my wife like the plague if he doesn't want to lose it. He's a mama's boy, so I'm heading to his mother. Although it's been stated that she is aware of it, I believe he changed the narrative to support his own claims. However, I'm also turning things up a notch. I'm entering a revised backup plan. I am writing her a letter explaining that even though we currently have to live together, she has lost her best friend as long as she goes on. Furthermore, our youngster will be the exclusive topic of discussion. And that's it. Not really making contact. I will now proceed with my business, work on the house and myself. Anything more that will help me become a stronger man in the future. It's fantastic if she has that future with her. If not, though, someone else will get a fantastic guy. No longer a kind man. They will exude confidence and strength, brimming with love to share. In order to assist herself, my wife has been attending therapy. But I've now learned that it's all a ruse to help him get better, since they had put things on hold until they had resolved their differences. It hurts more than practically anything in the universe, I won't lie. However, I'm forced to do it because I'm fed up with everything. The lying, the skulking, everything. I'm sick of watching my son's joy evaporate since he's constantly thinking about his mother. I am aware that she is sad and on medicine, but it is not a justification. Heck, it's most likely a consequence of the relationship. In either case, I'm up for it. I'm going to miss her and our relationship, and it will be difficult. However, all we had is now lost. She's no longer the woman I fell in love with. She can be better, I know it can, but not just now. Divorce in this case is faultless. I'm in trouble there, then. The employee tracking software I installed on her phone is the only reason I am aware of any of this. Regarding her buddy and coworker, she attended our wedding. Her initial concern was for my wife's happiness. Strangely enough, she was the second woman involved in a childbearing affair. It was like seeking the devil for guidance when my wife turned to her for support. I will have a peaceful conversation with her in which I will express my dissatisfaction with her involvement in this. Most importantly, her mother is aware of the romance. I make sure to keep her informed, and she has already stated that she will lose her family, who also looks after our children, if this keeps up. There's no Facebook page for him. His family, according to what his wife tells me, consists mostly of his close pals. Regarding him, I'm heading inside his office. Confront him, if necessary. I may use my time to speak with a few other powerful individuals to assist break this up. He has spent a lot of time and money on this at work, something I doubt the business would find useful. With that, I believe I can move him really quickly, if he oversees a department as well. Additionally, he would assign my wife to work on particular days while denying other employees hours only for that. Harassment is that. I have his ass. His 2 children are the only reason for my reluctance and my desire for him to be transferred. I'm not trying to take food from their mouths either, as a father. I'll make an effort to keep her employed. She has too much writing on it and has been there too long. Thus, he ought to be the one to go. Remarks: a few points to bear in mind while dealing with It seems that you wish to fit in with society, which is okay but not my style. Tell him that even though the may have heard something different and your wife wants to leave, you still love her and are trying your hardest to mend the marriage. You are pleading with him to give you and your son a chance to mend the family by ending the adultery. Tell him you are not talking to your wife, but you do understand her involvement. You're speaking with him and pleading with him to respect a married woman's privacy, return your son's mother, and act morally. Regarding the let the other man's mother know that you are asking for her help in stopping her son's affair with a married lady, and that if she doesn't believe you, she's welcome to examine the evidence you have. You want to come across as a caring parent and husband rather than a man seeking revenge. OP replies, strangely enough, that I sent him a text on D-Day, saving those precise words. He sneered at the idea of saving my marriage and family, for sure. The same things were spoken again when my mother-in-law addressed him, particularly in regards to my son. It persisted for a few days once more. Despite being the parent of 2 small children, he doesn't appear to care. I'll give him one chance before deciding what to do with him. In the meantime, I hope his ex gets all she is demanding. Total control, dwelling, child assistance, all 9 of them. The odd part is that he's not even aware that I've already seen her. A polite conversation with his mother, who, I learned, also lost her first spouse in the same manner, to a romantic relationship. However, there are also rumors that she's a little insane. He'll face him with extreme firmness. Hopefully, he becomes frightened or enraged and swings at me while being filmed on business property. That's a huge victory, then. While my wife will prefer that we go on, my desire is to keep the marriage intact. 180 degrees in style. Since learning about it, I've done everything I can, but there's only so much I can do while this is happening. They are employed by a major grocery chain. She spent 1 to 3 days a week working in his section at the store. No longer, as it was changed in response to complaints from other staff members over working long hours and taking on more work when necessary. Both the store manager and his supervisor are people I know. His attitude is one of save yourself. Strangely enough, the manager and the other man don't get along at all. He makes the other man feel threatened, and the manager has spoken to my wife insensitively. Unsuitable ones as well, but my spouse is not a boat rocker. However, as previously mentioned, the manager and the other man are not friendly. The only issue is that there's a 75% probability that he will assist my wife if I go to him. However, his adoring district supervisor, the might stand up for him. However, the phone and text records of the calls made while working are sufficient. The other employees' grievances are as valid. I'm not sure if I could gain their support, but I believe I can gain some from the manager as well, as he doesn't want anything to go wrong in his store and his distaste for the would make it simple. However, my wife would be easier to replace, as finding another job might be quite difficult a month before D-Day. I've been trying my hardest to make up for the mistakes I realized I made ever since. I shed 17 pounds, learned to keep my mouth shut, became more family-oriented, and, in her words, looked like the new Bond, a scene that I've maintained for the most of the 80. She has oscillated between recovering and returning. One has confronted him. They've split up and then reconciled. She began medication and therapy. She added that she's working on herself, but that she's frightened he won't be interested in her anymore, so he always answers to texts between her and her pals saying they're on hold while they both recover. He won't be leaving, and she's terrified, fearful of the soon-to-be ex. I'm about to lose it. She has left her house for work 3 times in the last 2 weeks, but I saw that she texted her supervisor 3 times to say she was running late or would arrive an hour later than expected. She tells us she's growing better every day during this entire time. She remains knee-deep in the mist. It's time to take a different action. After D-Day, I warned her that if she keeps up any form of contact with him, she will lose me as her best friend, someone she now views as her husband, while she works through her emotions. Stranger still, she no longer gives kisses or expressions of love. I believe she believes she is betraying him if she does it. She used to become really distraught when I left, but I'm currently gone on business. She had to send me a couple I love you SMS every day. Heck, she remained like way until D-Day, at which point everything abruptly altered. I'm in love with you, but I'm not in love with you. She admitted to her therapist that she fears losing me as her best friend because of this cake-eating behavior, because she doesn't have the money to move out and find herself. And, since I won't let her, doesn't want to miss any time with our son. She has also expressed to her therapist that she is not yet ready to face the consequences of her actions. She knows that will certainly break her, but she keeps acting in that way. It truly gives me no other option. I can't watch this any longer, but because he chose to play with my family, I might as well make it as hard as I can for him to come out, if I manage to get free. Her downfall has also been attributed to these cell phones. Strangely enough, she's likely to receive another one once she sees the text records I have from it. But then, I don't give a damn. It's up to her what she does. There must be limits, but I'm more than eager to battle for my marriage. And in the process, I'm not going to lose my respect for myself. If you take away this entire situation, my wife has been my entire wife, inside and out, and everything I could have ever asked for or needed. I know the rational aspects of the affair, it's the emotional aspects that are killing me. I know deep down that the woman I feel in love with is there once I pull her out of the mist. She can improve, but for now, it's all about me, and it's up to her to save her. In fact, I've seen the text exchange between her and her friend discussing their respective therapy and who is recovering more quickly. There's a reason it's a complete mess. Get help. The reason the 180 made so much sense is not why I say I love you. She uses the same justification for bonding, therefore she doesn't mention it since she doesn't want to confuse matters. It makes it extremely difficult to control hormones. I'm largely basing what I'm about to do on a letter I read about surviving the affair. But no one is packing up to move. As of right now, the letter expresses optimism for the restoration of any kind of relationship, friendship or not. However, NC must come first and foremost. Naturally, it would help if I could get him fired or transferred first. In the short run, she might be upset, but in the long run, it might be better. In reality, I only take a trip once or twice a year, for a period of several days. Nothing significant. I am aware that this is not a problem. Sundays were a major problem that I will address going forward. She used to take our son on play dates or go on fun errands with grandma during football season. Every now and then she would receive an invitation to attend a family get-together at the other man's home. I had no desire to go. However, that's because I had household chores to complete all the time. I thought that if I did all the things my wife didn't do, she wouldn't have to worry about them when she got home from work on the weekdays and could spend more time with our son. So, I would watch a little football. I had no idea that she would see this as neglect, that I ought to have been spending time with my family instead of ignoring her, and that I ought to have asked her to divide the housework more equally. I suppose you learn by living. You are aware of what I just realized as well. I'm about to return home. The goal is to deliver the letter I'm working on to my wife on Wednesday in order to alert people who should know, as she has therapy on Tuesday night. Basically, setting off a bomb of my own to directly confront the individual who has been causing havoc in my life. I think this is the biggest chance I've ever taken. It will push her even farther away, straight into his arms, and either end my marriage or take away the love of my life. It will not occur immediately. I'm prepared for the rage and every other feeling that goes along with it. But to say I'm not afraid would be a lie. I'm aware that I can't handle this anymore. Seeing her lie, have an affair, and express how much she loves and misses him. All the while, she believes that I am ignorant of this. I wish I had the self-control to let her medications work. I wish I had the self-control to let treatment work. I think she's capable of emerging from her fog. Despite what she says, I don't think she's in it for the long run with this guy. She has said things like, I could live with you forever. And it must be true if this is how it feels. But I've had enough. Tracking her has been enough self-punishment. She'll adjust after I do this, and I won't be able to tell what's what. She's free to tell me any kind of lie. I'm not going to know. However, I must have the fortitude to be indifferent. She will force herself to come clean and be honest if this is salvaged. He'll be entirely absent from the scene. I will always be a stronger person. She will fall in love with me once more. I've been working on myself so that I can be the best husband and father that I can be. I'm afraid that if she does leave for good, after 17 years away, my son will ask me why things happened, and I can't lie to him. It's heartbreaking. I'm just going through a phase of self-doubt and fear right now. Please excuse me, and if I confront him, it will be at his place of employment, so there won't be any fear of reprisals. I went to see the ex and waited for her to act accordingly. I'm grateful for your support and remarks, Ali. My mind is being kept clear and concentrated by you. My mother-in-law will update me on the weekend and where her head is when I get home from Bangkok. The plan is to deliver the letter on Wednesday and then handle all the required correspondence. See how that plan works out. I'm going to write a letter on Wednesday. Make other men's mothers calls. I'm feeling strong and powerful after texting my wife's friend and confronting the other man at work. She used Plan B to survive the affair and read No More Nice Guys. I saw a text from her to her friend saying that she wanted to reserve a hotel room for tomorrow's lunch break. I'm not sure if they would actually follow through, but she mentioned that she had a great conversation with him that she loved. My blood pressure is rising. Like it matters, she has a therapy session tomorrow night. It's alarming how lost she seems to be. Heck, I'm afraid she's gone forever. This stuff is unbelievable to me. I'm going to give her all of my texts from D-Day in addition to the letter. I won't care if she switches phones, so it doesn't matter. It will be useless to pursue her. She must get back to me. Screw it, I'm going for his job. I've been polite, but others have urged him to back off. I'm going to man up now and act in a very civil manner, like I should have done in the first place. Since I exposed her to copies of the texts through the monitoring software on D-Day, she is already somewhat aware of how. I'll show her everything, all the deceit and the sneaking, if I do this. Like the time I went to the doctor to address a possible enlarged heart, and she texted him all the while telling me how much she loved me and how great our team was. She's become more adept at compartmentalizing, and I'm going to utilize some of his texts to confront him. And that I forwarded to his former partner, in which she goes for work at her regular time but texts her manager an hour later to say she overslept. She's with you-know-who, therefore she's an hour and a half late. No more bullshit, I want to bring it all to light. I will have to wait until next Wednesday to finish this letter and expose. I'm aware that some will advise me to simply go ahead and do it, but I need everything to happen at once for maximum effect. There was the letter, the messages, the call to the other man's mother, the text to her friends who offered support, the confrontation at his business without my wife present, and the appropriate people at the store to ensure they found out too. My wife will definitely detest me for this, but I suppose that's kind of the point. Total shock and awe. I'll be able to 180 her more easily. It's odd, though, because they broke up yesterday and came back for her. This has happened to me multiple times. She probably advised him to stay off until things in my wife's life are sorted out, like her decision to leave, but he's a mama's boy and I think when he told my wife she didn't like it too much. I think the other man's mother was becoming curious, and even though I think he still dodged things, I informed her last night that I had nothing on that rubbish. I'm at my lowest point and can only get higher from here. I'm mending our relationship now that I know what I did wrong. I also informed her that a million ladies would give anything to be in her position. A lovely, healthy 3-year-old kid, a secure job, and a loving spouse are all she has. These things are the subject of TV series and movies. What if this is the biggest mistake of her life? She asks herself later. There's just one way to find out, I told her. However, there's no assurance that we'll still be here when you make that discovery. All I need now is for a sultry girl to make her envious by hitting on me at the perfect moment. I feel powerful again now. Tomorrow may be different, but let's take things day by day. Well, let me try to summarize everything. Tuesday afternoon, I get in touch with Human Resources and inform them about the affair. I also let them know that they have been utilizing corporate resources and that he has been scheduling his department to make it easier for him to work the same days and hours while denying other employees time off. And to that end, an email correspondence I had from a member who is a lawyer in HR on another website. I put the note in the drawer when I leave work so she may see it while I'm not around. The letter is about realizing all the mistakes I've made. I've been eager to work on it and detest lying and cheating. Most importantly, I told her that she had no relationship with him, thus we can never again be friends. Not one with me. Proceed to your job. Give the mother a call. Send a text message or leave a voicemail. My wife receives the same text at 20 and later. Instruct her to read the letter. Text your best friend, a coworker who has been really helpful. Send 2 more girlfriends texts, who might or might not know. Head to work. Speak with her supervisor and 2 other male coworkers. They are very knowledgeable. Next, inform the store manager in order to possibly prevent harm. She apologizes by text to the other man mom that she got involved. Says apologies by text to another man, then leaves him alone. Yes, exactly. Mom, the other man, seems to have known about it. My closest friend calls and says she's sorry, she didn't mean to grow too attached. I merely wanted to offer encouragement. I schedule a family law consultation to learn more about formal separation. She is angry, despises me, takes a short break to regroup at a friend's place, returns home, and sleeps. When she gets to work, she discovers that most PPL are aware of it. I am not aware of any effects on other men at this time. She went directly to speak with the store manager. She says she's sorry I brought it into the shop. He replied that she was the one who brought it in, not me. She is therefore furious right now and will be for some time to come. Playing it by ear, not speaking to each other. I'll be polite but stay away from her. We'll be prepared to file if needed, but for the time being, we'll see how things work. My wife is obtaining a phone and plan of her own today. If you will, her phone of affair. She claims that her buddies want to SMS her since they are aware that her phone is compromised. Simply put, it feels like a step closer to attempting to date the other man. Yes, we fully exposed ourselves. Simply said, I'm not sure. I'm a little disappointed because I didn't think she would truly do it. If she wants my trust, she's going in the wrong path. She just seems to be speaking in absolutes at the moment. Like, why fight it when I know he doesn't trust me? Or he says he's over the marriage, in which case I'll just follow my lead rather than leaving. Hold on, what on earth is he doing? He promised to always be present. I know it's the fog again. However, it appears that we are done. A few days later, I broke tonight. With 11 months left on her contract, she switched to her own plan on her phone, but they wouldn't allow her buy a new one. She was forced to hold on to her BlackBerry. It won't take a few minutes because it's still broken. She began contacting him after transferring the financial responsibility. Hello my love, I've missed you terribly. I therefore lost my crab when she got home. Informed her of the text, so ceding all control. Said a few things I shouldn't have said, completely ruining planner. How I'm over it and want her out of my life. That's the kind of thing you say out of rage, that's been building. Though it's too late now, there are things I wish I hadn't uttered. Do I still think we can solve it? Yes, but only after extensive labor. Do I still desire her? Yes, as I am aware of the true nature of the issue. I don't want anything to do with her as she is today, though. I'll make an effort to muster the courage to file for formal separation this week. Since I don't think divorce is a thing, she will immediately fall into his arms. However, it appears that's where she was meant to be regardless, and there was nothing I could do to alter it. They didn't seem to be put off by exposure. All I can do is hope HR can move him. Better yet, let him go. She just can't want to be with me, though. She thus loses me, as though she were concerned. Her contacts are on my iPhone as well because they were synchronized with the PC. I've started talking to most of the folks she works with about what's going on because I know them too, putting the facts forward. But now that I'm upset, I can see that it's motivating me to go because I'm sick of putting up with this. I will not put up with that, yet I still love her. I hope to file separation papers before the end of this week. Go be with him if that's what she wants. However, leave my home now. I'm not going to watch this. I might have to give it another go to get in touch with the mom. Let's see. It appears that my only option is to file in order to try to get her out of the house and spare myself from having to watch this unfold. Plan B, the 180, appears to be the only viable option. To be honest, I find it repulsive that he would spend the night and then go on frequent public dates. I simply want to turn over when I think about all the little special things we used to do and the plans we made, all while she was dressed just for me. However, I have a priceless little son who depends on me and I cannot let him down. I'm afraid of being a single mom. I'm afraid this will become soiled. I will be filing for legal separation tomorrow, so that's good. I have an appointment with a lawyer. I have no desire to do it. I really don't want to do that, my lord. I have to get her out of the house, though. I have no more patience to see this drama unfold. The deception and the lies. There is nothing I adore more than my wife, and would go to any lengths to win her return. But it's just not what I need or want from her in this current incarnation. I am also capable of placing my son in a position that causes him discomfort. I believed I had the fortitude to endure it. Logically, I know that I do. However, the emotional aspect has worn thin. I've known about it for 3 months, and I've calculated that it's been going on for 6 to 9 months. The wife of the other man seems to believe that he will eventually get old and boring, and his genuine nature and issues will come through. I'm hoping she's correct, so that's the backup plan. I'm rebooting myself, so to speak. If my wife and I can work things out, we'll have the best marriage ever, and I'll be a better person for whoever comes after. The only thing that has been given up is the possibility that anything will occur throughout the affair. Though I've given up on the circumstance, I don't give up on her. That's one thing, though, if she is really done with me. That's another, if our marriage was that awful. But the issue wasn't that we weren't communicating with each other in an effective manner to resolve our issues. But as long as there is fog, nothing can be done. I am aware of my wife's goodness. She simply made some extremely poor, self-centered decisions. Though at this point there is no hope, I believe she is in there. I can also sense that Am is starting to give her rubbish in terms of information and stuff. She's using language and talking about subjects that are totally out of character for her. I am aware of his manipulation and control over her. This is similar to what I witnessed when she was in an abusive relationship. In an attempt to separate her from her support system, this person started to turn her against her family when we split up. Although I'm not excited about it, it's a win-win situation. That's it, then. This hasn't affected me since September of last year. I've calculated that it has continued, give or take a few weeks, since then. When I learned in late February, I tried to monitor the situation, gather as much information as possible about issues, and try to deal with them rather than snapping at people. Has every choice I've made been the right one? No, and I doubt you can name a single one who has been flawless. In reality, my wife is not a mean person. She despises conflict and is an extreme pacifist. I think I understand her personality quite well. She is a decent person who chose poorly. The worst part is that if the marriage had been awful, it could be fixed. But by the time it was realized that things weren't going well, the affair had already begun. For that reason, it has been nearly impossible to get through it. I've set that aside, but she still calls me her best friend. I've informed her that we are not compatible beings in this universe. Additionally, there have been occasions when the affair ended. She seems to be coming to understand. And after a few weeks, he entices her to return. She claims that our relationship and the things I did or did not do have rendered her numb. I've reviewed those items, all of which are readily adjustable. And to be honest, a lot of it was nitpicking. Additionally, I may not have fully addressed her emotional needs. I understand that. I used to be a lovely, carefree man, but life got the best of me and changed me into a stressed out, bitter person with a chip on his shoulder. Additionally, I've heard this from a number of other friends. Not because I want to, but just for the record, I have filed for formal separation. But is this scenario hopeless because I don't want to see this anymore? No, not at all. My spouse is someone I know and understand. I've seen this before. The change is like a 180-degree turn in and of itself. She started seeing a guy after we briefly broke up when we were younger. Kind, lovely, handled her with care, etc. It was later discovered that he struggled with drinking. I also learned that he mistreated my wife, which is why she would leave him and come live with me, then return to him after a week. The cycle would then resume after some time. That persisted for a few months. My wife is acting a lot like that right now. She always responds to things with textbook clarity, and her loss of self-control is exactly the same as it was then. That's how I become aware of what's happening. Growth occasionally requires a procedure. It's also not simple. I would just kick her out, but I'm not able to do that. And the law is to blame for it. Furthermore, not everything is as clear-cut as it could appear, my son. This is the update, then. As of this past weekend, my wife inquired after I had moved some funds into our joint checking account to cover attorney fees. I informed her a day in advance that she would receive a conventional petition for legal separation on Tuesday. She became emotional and was unsure of what to do for the most part. What about our son, too? And a little surprised that I actually did it. I told her that I didn't want to. I never would have thought that I would, but she left me no other option. I wanted her out sooner rather than later because the affair is still going on and she put him before our family and myself. She was attempting to coax me into stating that I would always be around, so we spent the rest of the day chatting. I simply let her know that I wouldn't be around to see whether she ended up heartbroken or collapsed. She asked me to assist her set up while she was at Target getting supplies. I asked her why I was helping her and why I wanted her to stay. Request assistance from that small duck. She offered me a vague explanation about how, if she had it to do again, she wouldn't get married since, as they say, marriage transforms people. Her kids alter people, I told her. I sensed she was shifting her opinion. She was a big believer in marriage once. The foundation of loved every minute was running away from the vows, remorse, and pledges. She accepted this as well as acting as a barrier to it. She went to her friend's place to let out some steam, verified, and returned with a hint of resentment. That is to say, she spoke with him and he is still pursuing her. He'll definitely let her know exactly what he wants from her. It will also get soiled. However, I reached a point where I was tired of seeing this. Thus, we begin this procedure, and I never give up on being the best father I can be. Strangely enough, on Thursday, my therapist was telling me. Additionally, she has worked on about 2,000 cases with an infidelity theme. Only one of them married, and they parted ways a few years later. Everything is just hazy, drug-induced nonsense. I would therefore let her leave, face reality, and hope that she would return, seeking me. If not, my son and I are here. It's difficult. Everyone knows that when we got married, we never dreamed of this. Knowing that the person you are with is the right one for you makes it even more difficult. My marriage has never been my source of happiness. She's the cherry on top of everything. The way she completes and balances me. How we've developed as a team. More than ever, I see this. It's too late for that chapter now, but I've taken it for granted. It's my role as a father, a friend and role model for my son. I hope we can reunite as a family at some point. She doesn't desire it, though, at this moment. The worst part is that I keep growing and learning. I improve. Boy, she's going to be missing out now if she believed that I was a decent father and husband back then. She's been a little touchier after I told her about the separation. I realize this seems a little strange. By no means anything significant, simply small gestures like pats on the hand or shoulder or her placing her head on my shoulders when we're playing on the ground with my son. I informed her that I wanted to get rid of her as quickly as possible. I can't take it anymore, and I won't put up with sharing my wife for the affair, so I've taken legal action. This is what I had to do, not what I wanted to do. She has stated that she might not require legal representation. I don't know what any of this means, but I try to limit the amount of time I spend talking to her at home to only child and house-related topics. There are days when I think she may truly want to end the marriage. She hasn't worn her ring, but she has acknowledged that she has never considered legal options and has never even looked them up. We haven't fought in a long, mainly because I'm trying to avoid her, but I also find that I'm accidentally carrying out a plan once more. She's late for her DMV renewal, though, and I hear the fog mumble. A creditor has begun to call, while another has begun to issue notices. That seems to me that she is totally distracted. That would be encouraging to me, I know, because it would indicate that reality will hit me harder when she moves out. I've made an effort not to worry about it, but while I was looking at a calendar, it occurred to me that I would undoubtedly miss her birthday and our anniversary before the holidays if she moved out. She was kind this morning, but she got into a fight with her mother, and I witnessed the fallout. We got to discussing money and how it would be divided equally. Then she mentioned the money her late uncle left to the States, which we used to purchase our home. In essence, she claimed that I had stolen that money from her. We paid a down payment on a house and used it to pay off debt. During our marriage, I took advantage of her. Not only do I know now that she's lost in thought, but money has never really bothered her. But I'm aware that the other man is mistreating her, especially when he uses a term like mooched. My spouse is just aware of the coach and commentator as a mooch. Among the reasons I cherished her. She then launched into a rage, calling me names like horrible husband, among other things, and discussing creating a schedule for our son. At that point, I set the record straight on the other man and the family. I'll take it as far as the law will allow me, and I won't mince words about those. I looked through her internet history to find some places that could be a bit too much for her, but she has finally started looking for a place. Well, anything. I only emphasized that she needed to find a solution to her situation as soon as possible. She, therefore, began her search for housing. Yesterday, she broke down in tears as she saw she wouldn't be able to afford the amount the doer was used to, and it was possible she would have to make do with one bedroom rather than two. However, she claimed that nothing changed as a result. However, I have a query. My wife complimented me on how great I looked as we prepared to head to a previous function. I started to ask some stupid questions, some of which had a lighthearted tone. I asked the all-too-usual question in error. Do you still find the other man appealing, or do you believe I'm still attractive? My spouse answered hell yes and then no way. After I joked about what I ought to include in my match time profile, she made an intriguing comment, and this is where I need assistance. Just let your girlfriend know that I'm your best buddy and that she needs to deal with me, my wife said. My wife still believes that when she moves out, we'll remain friends. However, I doubt that we'll ever become friends. First, is all of this discussion really so far-fetched? 2, do you think she's really been checked out based on that little excerpt? Is she merely providing backup in case the affair doesn't work out? My comment, why do I get the impression that she's sticking around because of Opus's wealth? In part 3,